welcome to Let's Play Gran Turismo 2, episode 18. So, you may remember in the previous segment I did mention we completed the international events of the GT League, and now of course we are officially returning to the special events, and of course we managed to complete the FF challenge. And of course, if you have not seen my previous videos, then I would highly recommend you watch those before you watch this one, so then obviously you're kept up to date with everything I'm currently doing in this game. And well, our next one I think is going to be a bit more of a challenge, because well, I think for the first race, since I don't have many historic cars in my garage, although obviously not historic by this game's standards, you know, because essentially overall I'm gonna switch to my Celica GTR once again for race 1, you know, just because there aren't any classic cars I can buy under the 246 horsepower cap, or I'm just uncertain of how exactly this is going to go. But let's head over to the race events, or the Go Race section I should say, and head over here to the Historic Car Cup. So 3 races here, as it is with most of these events in this game. So we've got Tahiti Road, Rome City Course, and Grindelwald to officially cap off this championship. Just having a sip of water there, and yeah, let's head to race 1 to see how we do. Whilst I am very close to losing my voice. So I'm really not sure about my choice for this first race, but again, obviously this is not a classic car I'm using, at least not in this game, because obviously I'm using a 2-wheel drive Toyota Celica from 1991. The same year Terminator 2 was released. And just before we start... oh, okay, never mind. Just had to check to see if I was... oh my god. We were in analog mode, but anyways. We have a Subaru 360 in this field, along with a Fiat 500. We've got a Datsun in here, along with a Skyline, and I think at the front that is a Lancia Stratos that is at the front, and indeed it is a Stratos. So we have definitely got some icons in this field, and obviously, well, the reason why I chose my Celica, well, essentially because, well, this is basically the oldest car I have that officially has more than 100 horsepower, and obviously I am really not sure about this. I'm still giving it a go anyway, but for the moment it looks like the Stratos is pulling away from me, and well, I'm trying to prevent that. Considering obviously most of these cars are basically from the 70s, and well, I basically have a car from the 90s. So in this game, this car is basically anything but a historic car. At least essentially according to design and period by proxy. But again, the reason why I wanted to use this car is essentially because, well, this is probably one of the oldest cars I have available to me, and these AI are closing in. And well, I can see that Subaru 360 is there somewhere, and oh my god, the Fiat 500 is just up into third at the moment. He is actually up onto the podium. At least, it's probably for a brief second anyway. But still, I must admit, you'll have to see it. But anyways, approaching the final straightaway, and I win race 1 in my absolutely not historic 1999 standards, or 2000 standards, Toyota Celica GTR. So we had a Lancia Stratos in this race, along with a Fiat 500, who did manage to get the podium. You'll have to see it. A Nissan Skyline GTR. KTG C10. A Japanese version of the Datsun 240Z. And we had a Subaru 360 who was 3.8 seconds behind. But still, the classic Fiat 500 on the podium. You absolutely love to see that. And we now have a new car and an additional 7 grand. But the reason why I chose the Celica for the first race as well, essentially because, well, there wasn't anything else I could purchase for the first race, unfortunately. And well, next race is 295. So originally for this event, I thought about, well, I am going to head down to South City, and well, originally I thought about heading over to Ford and essentially getting myself this, a 67 Mercury Cougar, and unfortunately, because this car exceeds the power limits for the first 2 races, I don't think that's a car I'm going to use. I mean, as much as I really want to use that car, unfortunately I cannot, because I had to think about the max horsepower caps. So I'm not going to head over to Shelby, because I think their cars are probably too expensive. And while, obviously, as you can see there, they too probably exceed the max power limit, so I'm not going to bother with either of those. But instead, I think I'm gonna head over to Dodge. Essentially because, well, I think this is probably the only place I officially can go to that does not exceed the power limit for the first 2 races. Well, I'm just having a look through to see what colours are here, and I gotta say, I like that purple, but I don't think I want to get it in purple. Ooh, this car actually doesn't look bad in black. Is it in red? Not too sure about the gold. Ooh, orange. Top banana, bright blue metallic, rosy. Eggshell white. Oh. Like a metal. Fuck it, I'll get it in black. Yeah, fuck it, I'll get this thing in black. Why? Because I said so. Also, because obviously with muscle cars, they have incredibly low speeds. So obviously, I will need to purchase this. The fully customizable gearbox. You know, just so I can put on some additional speed to this thing. Where basically most of the muscle cars, can basically only receive about a maximum of like what, 130 miles an hour? I think that's about right, but anyway. I'm also going to purchase some tuning whilst I'm here, just because probably need to, just to give myself a couple of extra horses. Well, that's still underneath the power cap. I could do that one if I wanted to. And well, actually yeah, I will get the stage 1 engine tune. Well, I'll still be 2 horsepower under the max horsepower cap. Oh, what the hell. Just gives me a little bit of extra oomph to the machine itself. So I'm going to head back, of course, to this event, as we now officially get on with our 2 remaining races, as we've got the Rome City Course and Grindelwald. Let's head to race 2. This is attempt number 3 at this race. And the main thing I am hoping for is that we do not go up against the GT40. Because fuck that thing. Well, this is attempt number 3, and I am deeply hoping that this will be the charm attempt. The attempt I do not have to race against the GT40, because even if I try to run it into a wall, it will still get past me, no problem. Come on. Oh, okay. Oh, okay, we don't have the GT40 in this one. Thank God. Because that fucking thing just absolutely annihilated us in the first 2 attempts. So on my first attempt, I just got absolutely belted to the floor by the GT40 on the first attempt, and then on the second attempt, because it just fucking checked out again, and oddly enough, as soon as I knew the gap itself was over 4.5 seconds, I just wasn't even gonna bother carrying on with the race, and there was contact there. There was definitely contact. And well, as a result of that, notably overall, I'm basically just hoping that, well, at Grindelwald, even with the upgrades I have on, I do not have to face against another GT40. And the reason why I put on the fully customizable racing gearbox is essentially so I could give myself a higher top speed. And we have a Lotus Europa and a Lotus Elan in this race, and there was a little bit of contact there. There was definitely some contact, as there is also a Datsun behind them. And now it is the Skyline that takes over the second position. oddly enough on this occasion, I probably do think that the third time truly is the charm. Because in this race, I do not have to compete against a GT40. And I'm really hoping I do not have to compete against a GT40 for the final race either. Because that fucking thing, it will just literally want to absolutely decapitate you as soon as you know very well it enters one of these two races. It's almost like you're literally trying to stop a prolific serial killer or something. Basically, when you're up against that GT40 in the Rome race. So the best thing I can really say to all those that may be struggling with this race because of the Ford GT40, it's essentially just keep trying and then maybe see if you can get lucky with not having to face the GT40 for the final two races. So across the line we go, and it is going to be victory in race number 1 because we have no GT40 this time, thankfully. So it was eventually the Datsun that took second in that race. Then it was the Elan who took home the bronze, followed by the Skyline GTR who was 4th, and then we had the Lotus Europa in 5th, and then it was the other Elan, the S2, in 6th. So a relatively close race overall, and it only took me 2 failed attempts to officially win this race without having to negotiate the company of the GT40. So yeah, that was race 2. Actually no, I'm not gonna save the replay at Grindelwald. Sorry, at Rome course. I'm gonna save it at Grindelwald, just because I want to. So, let's enter the third and final race of the Historic Car Cup, Grindelwald. And also, I can officially install, and of course, I can officially install my purchased tuning now. And I'm just having a sip of water. And just putting on pretty much all the horsepower I have. And yeah. Just checking through again. Yeah, got it all on. Let's head to Grindelwald and hope of course we do not get absolutely annihilated by the Ford GT40. I'm not gonna bother this time without some appropriate tyres. I think I actually need more grip. I did not mean to go over there. Considering I've already failed 5 times and essentially overall, the Stratos just suddenly had to make a dive bomb and then just suddenly spin me around like it was basically and then just basically spin me around like I was doing donuts or something. Now, I could get the racing soft tyres, because obviously, you know, grip is super OP in this game. I'm not going to do that just yet, but I think instead I'm going to put on the sport tyres, you know, just because I want to. And so I'm also just going to put on a stage 1 weight reduction so that I may be able to actually control this thing, and I think that's about it. And all I can really do now is hope to not go up against another GT40. This is attempt number 6. And since I have a bit more grip this time, as well as also a bit of weight reduction on this thing, I might be able to win it this time. I'm just having my water. Essentially trying not to blow a fuse at this point. Or essentially allow someone to put a threshold around the neck. And fortunately this time we are not up against another GT40. And since I have a bit more grip this time, I may have a better shot of actually controlling this thing. So, on my 5 previous attempts, I either got beat on raw pace, or I was just cruelly robbed by these AI. But I'm deeply hoping that this time I have actually managed to get the win. Or I am hoping this time I will actually get the win. Because if I don't, then I will be massively frustrated. But again, I have also learned, of course, to not get mad at some video game. Because even though there were times, of course, where I would often think about screaming at the game, and for it just giving me something I know for sure I cannot negotiate. I eventually just told myself to essentially take a step back and essentially just tell myself of not to put my deep agony on a video game, or my deep anger, I should say. But again, I am not underestimating these AI. Because they will try to dive bomb me, and they will try to take me out. If they have the opportunity to do so, then they will do it. Because I know for sure I am definitely not secure for victory, and these AI will try to murder me if I do not give it 100% commitment to this race. Oh, come on. Okay. I may be able to do it this time. Can I do it this time? They're closing in, but there we go. And it only took me 5 failed attempts to eventually win this race. So in this race we had a Toyota 2000 GT, which is actually very competent around this circuit, considering it was the car that beat me first time. we also had a Lancia Stratos in this event, along with a Datsun 240Z, a Chevrolet Corvette Stingray from 67, same year as the Toyota, and we also had an Aston Martin DB6. And so with the top, essentially from second to fourth, or sorry, from first to fourth, it was only less than a second, so whatever was going on there, that must have been a good race. But anyways, I finally win at Grindelwald. I win! And of course, I'm going to save the game. So, it took me a few failed attempts to win at Grindelwald, but I did eventually manage to succeed, even though obviously I didn't even bother trying whenever the GT40 popped up, because I know for sure that even if I did max out my horsepower limit, I was not going to beat it. But anyway, there we go, and just before I forget, because I almost forgot, I shall save a replay. Because I need to, for thumbnails. And now, we can step away from this. And also, furthermore, for both times I officially won those races. They were not up against a GT40. But anyways, that was the Historic Car Cup. And so next up is this one, the Wagon Cup. So, just going to head over here, and these of course are our new prize cars. Oh, sorry. So we only get 2 prize cars from this event. The first of those notably being a Lotus Europa. Ooh. This is a... Oh, wait a minute. Okay. Correction. This is the first prize car we win. A Mugen CRX 3 is the prize car that we win from the first event. And well, I guess the main reason I got confused is essentially because I purchased the Challenger after race 1, and that was probably what confused me the most, but anyway. So, Mugen CRX 3 is our first prize car. Our prize car from race 2 is the Lotus Europa, and what a sexy looking thing this is. Plus, furthermore, those are some nice rims, and this car actually does look good in black. Kind of reminds me of JPS when I look at that sort of black, you know, John Player Special. And our third prize car is this. The Toyota XYR, which is basically the Toyota Celica concept car. Or as it says up there. So, for game status, we are now officially 15.52% complete with this game. And of course, my win ratio has dropped down considerably. It has dropped down from what I think was about 93% all the way down to 80.95%. But anyways, so that was the Historic Car Cup. Next up is the Wagon Cup. And so with that, stay tuned for more GT2.